Hello gamers, this is Sai, and welcome back to Which Way Games. If you had ultimate power, what would you do with it?
The master of the universe.
And with that being said, let's get on with the video.
When it comes to side-scrolling shoot-em-ups, there are many that some gamers class as classics. But if you combine the genres of side-scrolling shoot-em-ups and platforming, gamers are treated to some gems from the world of retro gaming. With such games as Bionic Commando, Vector Man and the fantastic Contra series, which for some is one of the best side-scrolling shoot-em-ups ever made.
Especially with the Konami code.
However, on the Sega Mega Drive, there was a game that took both genres and gave gamers an absolute legend of a game that is still played over 20 years later since its release.
This would be Gunstar Heroes, an absolute classic when it comes to 16-bit gaming. But before I carry on, let's go back to where it all started.
Gunstar Heroes had roots within Konami, but eventually game programmer Masato Magawa and a small team established the game development company known as Treasure. Feeling that gamers wanted to play an original game that was a step away from what gamers were used to, Treasure approached Sega but were ultimately turned away. Eventually, Sega gave Treasure the chance to prove themselves with McDonald's Treasure Land adventure, and following this, Gunstar Heroes was given the green light. Wanting to take all the best bits from previous side-scrolling shoot-em-ups and combining these with a unique storyline as well as an aesthetically pleasing art style is what drove Treasure to go above and beyond when it came to creating their new game for Sega. The idea of anything goes was paramount and led to many ambitious ideas being implemented into the final game, such as the weapon combination mechanic, but more on that later. And come early September 1993, Gunstar Heroes was released for the Mega Drive for Sega fans to enjoy.
And like always, let's go back to the past to see how Gunstar Heroes was advertised.
日本全国体育会系の皆さん、かかってきなさい。熱血ドドンパアクション。俺たちはガンスターヒーローズだ。メガドライブから。Sega!
The story of Gunstar Heroes begins in the distant world of G9, where the Gunstar dynasty have protected the planet for generations. Many years ago, Professor White Gunstar battled Gold and Silver, a destructive android hell-bent on claiming G9's resources and destroying the planet in the process. Luckily, the Professor managed to extract 4 mystical gems, the android's power source, and imprisoned it in one of G9's moons. Decades later, a new threat rears its head in the form of a vicious dictator called Colonel Red. Kidnapping the older brother of the twins Red and Blue, Green is subjected to mind control by Colonel Red, and with his help, locates the mystical gems, turning the planet of G9 into a deadly place to live. Colonel Red plans on reactivating the android Gold and Silver, so it's up to the twins, their sister Yellow, as well as Dr. Brown, to save the planet from annihilation.
Gameplay has gamers controlling Gunstar Red and Blue as they battle against the evil Empire in search of the mystical gems.
Being a side-scrolling shooter similar to Contra, Gunstar Heroes takes its concept and mixes it with platforming. Gamers will have to traverse many obstacles through 7 stages of intense action, which only became more hectic while playing cooperatively. With enemies attacking from each side of the screen, gamers will have to have their wits about them when dealing with the Empire and Colonel Red.
Now, he seems familiar, like I've seen him somewhere before.
The first 4 of these stages can be dealt with in any order.
A bit like the Mega Man series, but with a slight twist.
However, these stages will vary from one another, with gamers sometimes dealing with enemies on top of a helicopter, a board game style of play, and even out in space, where no one can hear you scream. With each stage completed, games are rewarded with extra health and a continuation of the main story, which in itself could easily be turned into an anime.
Netflix, I'm looking at you. Come on, make it happen.
Throughout the game, there are 4 weapons that can be used, such as machine guns, lightning, and flamethrowers. However, this is where Gunstar Hero changes the way gamers will utilise these weapons and throws it out the window. All of these weapons have their own strengths and weaknesses, but finding the right combination is key.
With all these weapons, it does make me wonder, what is the best combination? Turns out the best combination weapon is... Hold it! Alright, I'll keep it secret. For now.
Coming back to the story, with the Empire in possession of the 4 mystical gems, as well as kidnapping Gunstar Yellow, the twins find themselves going up against Colonel Red in a battle to the death. Luckily, the twins dispatch Colonel Red fairly quickly, before going face to face with the leader of the Empire himself. Summoning the power of the mystical gems, the Emperor cannot control their amazing power and is almost obliterated out of his existence. With the Emperor weakened, the twins notice that the mystical gems fly off into a separate room, and what could only be the resting place of gold and silver. The chamber inside opens, revealing the destructive android, and with the mystical gems powering gold and silver once again, the twins must stop the android even if it costs them their lives. In a long and dangerous battle, gold and silver is defeated, and as the mystical gems disappear, the android escapes into the void of space with the twins in hot pursuit. The Emperor sees this and decides to recapture gold and silver, but the android fires an energy blast in his face, killing the Emperor in the process. The twins realise they have no weapons and are powerless, but out of nowhere, Gunstar Green appears. Wanting to atone for his past transgressions, Green makes the ultimate sacrifice, but has gold and silver truly be defeated? The twins return home with Yellow, and the planet of G9 can finally live in peace.
When released, Gunstar Heroes was praised by critics and gamers, with some saying it was the most intense game ever seen on home console gaming.
With controls that felt responsive, stunning graphics, as well as all-out action gameplay, Gunstar Heroes went on to sell very well and built up a bit of a cult following. The chaotic and brash nature of the game made Gunstar Heroes one of those games that needed to be owned, especially for the sake of Mega Drive.
Same can be said for the fantastic Streets of Rage, with its addictive gameplay and memorable music.
From the success of Gunstar Heroes, a port of the game ended up on the Sega Game Gear, and eventually, after 12 years, a sequel was announced known as Gunstar Superheroes. In this game, the world has been at peace for many years, with twins Red and Blue being idolised as saviours of G9. However, the Empire's returned with plans of resurrecting Gold and Silver. Gunstar Superheroes emulates the same gameplay style as its predecessor, but with some features removed, such as the weapon combination format. Overall, Gunstar Heroes is a great game to play and feels very similar to the Metal Slug series. Gamers will certainly have fun with this chaotic yet endearing game to play. Hopefully, Treasure will return to this classic gaming series, but stick with the 2D style of gameplay that made Gunstar Heroes so popular with gamers.
Anyway, come back next time when Captain Falcon enters the racing circuit in search of his next bounty. But will he win the race, and will he accept the prize money? Thank you so much for watching, and see you next game.